So happy to see so many people in the room. And you know, when I was preparing the talk, I was like, what am I going to talk about? I didn't know, because I thought, oh, I can deep dive into a specific use case, I can deep dive in a specific story. And I was like, okay, it has been the birthday of ChatGPT a few days ago. And I was like, maybe what is interesting is to share with you the journey we had at Miracle and give you concrete example about how we have transformed the company with AI, with agents, and also provide you concrete basic example and metrics and how we are seeing it's transforming the stack internally for our employees, as well as it's transforming the way we see us as a SaaS company. And so let's go. Ready to start the journey with me? Yeah. And to start this story, I just wanted to share, and I'm going to be there, to share a Slack we have in the company. So we are using Slack, like many of you in the room and online. And concretely, what we are doing, each time we are winning a customer, we share that in the channel wins. That's great. And for the first time, we had Lawrence a few months ago, you see in May the 5th, that says, something very special in his announcement, because it's really important also to thank all the people that make that deal happen. People from the support, people from solution consultant, also sometimes software engineer, product manager. And it was really the first time where they had thanked Dust RFP agent. And that was the first time someone in the company based in Australia that is part of the business team that was saying thank you to an agent. And let me tell you the story and how we have been able to have that. And I didn't pay Lawrence to do that. If we take just a step back, since the end of 2022, we see something that is really decreasing. It's traditional work. Before, we used to write all of our emails, sometimes using DeepL from translation. We were used to write all our code, sometimes using autocomplete. That was great. But in a way, we see that in our everyday use and everyday life, that is already changing drastically. And the projection is that by 2029, it's going to be over. Nothing will be done 100% powered by human. And in a way, if you think about it, think about a day where you can't use ChatGPT because there is a breakdown of Claude of ChatGPT, where you can't do anything, you're going to lose a lot of time. And for me, it can be in my personal life also, when I'm trying to sell personal stuff on Vinted, I have my agent for that, and I would be like, this is not going to be so fast as I'm doing it today. Since the arrival of ChatGPT, we see something arriving. It's more the era of AI-assisted tasks. I'm still writing my email, but I'm using it to translate, to proofread, to make it more with the tone specifically for compliance team, legal, security, because I don't want to lose time using and be polite, for example. And that's great. We use it also for coding and for so many things. And just to give some example, these are things we were doing before the arrival of GenAI. To give you an example, at Miracle, we were used to use NLP algorithm to detect for our customers critical messages, to help them to not just basically look at customer care messages by last in, first out, to first in, first out, the classical FIFO approach, but more critical first is going to be the first that is going to be looked and answered. With GenAI, we have drastically changed the way we were powering the support for our customers by starting to look at what really matters for our customers. They are all around the world. They are in Japan, they are in Australia, they are in France, they are in Spain, they are in the US. And that is really something very critical when you need an answer during your integration of a software or just using a feature. And you just have to wait for someone answering your ticket, and you have to write it in English, you have to read it in English, or you have to search in a FAQ. And so the first thing we have done with the arrival of GenAI was to say, let's build an agent for our customer that will be 24/7 available, because that's really what matters, and that can help and ease the pain of searching for an answer of the documentation by providing it directly with concrete steps to answer. And the concrete metrics we have been able to reach is now we have still 96.2, it's concrete, customer satisfaction. That's the same level as it used to be when it was answered by human, because for us, the level of quality we expect is the agent is as good and provide the same level of quality as a human could have done. And the last one is 30%, 36% of efficiency gain. But you could say, oh, great, you have been able to decrease the size of your team of 36%. That's the traditional speech about reducing customer support. The way was really different. We started by looking at what was really blocking our customer in the implementation of a SaaS software. First, you have to take time to write a documentation. Then after, the customer has to look for answers. And what we have done, we have started by trying to accelerate this flow. First, trying to enable tech writers to use AI to write the documentation. Then after, build this agent. And concretely, in the terms of organization, the big point we changed is we realized this team, it was meaningful that they were part of the same team. Because when we had an agent, we realized that how people are crafting their question. We realized that sometimes our documentation, the answer was in the documentation, but was not expressed in a way that was easily actionable for an agent. And behind the scene, we have merged these two teams. Now we have a squad lead that is not just squad lead of a customer service team, that is also the squad lead of this agent, responsible, accountable as a product manager to make this agent grow and create more value for the customer, as well as customer service team. Now they are able to, by themselves, have an agent to improve the documentation in order to get, in just few hours, a better answer to the next request of a customer. So behind the scene, it's really a strong transformation, yet also, in parallel, bringing a lot of value for the customer. Yeah, that's good. But you still have to go on a specific URL. You still have to type a question. It's still providing answer, but you still have to do the job. So that's why it's good, but there is another way starting this year. That's why we all talk about agents and agentic, and the way we see it, it's starting to be the rise of what we call human-led agent. It's still the human that is defining the goal, still the human that is reviewing the result of the agent, but it's more the agent and the AI behind the scene that is doing the job on the behalf of the human. And having this approach by design is drastically changing how we crafted features in our product. We are here. So if we go back to the story of Lawrence to have an example concretely, what it means for miracle workers, if we deep dive in an example, the example of Lawrence, the starting point was it was more than 20 hours of working hours, not just lead time, to answer a question of a RFP. The first thing we have done is we have breakdown. Why is it so long? In lead time, it's even more long because you receive a RFP in Australia, then the sales has a question, the legal team is in France, and then we have different time zone. But we realized that in this process, by breaking down all the steps, that we were having RFP waiting for hours to have someone from the legal team basically answering things, but the answer was already in our SOC 2 report. It was already in the previous answer we had from RFP, and we were like, oh, this is something we could leverage. We have the data, and we could change this. So I'm clicking to the video is not working, I think. Is the video starting? No, you won't see the video. So I will just go back to that. So the way we imagine it was like, we want to empower Lawrence and all the people at Miracle. So we were like, what is this? You already receive a tab with all the questions. We use Google Sheet. They can copy-paste this question into Google Sheet. And after, by themselves, the legal team and the security team, they have built their agent with the right prompting, with the right documentation, mentioning the sources to be sure that at the question, it was answering the good first answer. And we were able, after, to integrate through an API call, and Lawrence was super happy to be able to know what is an API and how to integrate it in a Google Sheet, calling the agent directly from the Google Sheet. And now in Autonomy, it could get a first version of all the answers that would have taken hours and at least 3 people to answer to it. And then after looking at the answer, having this first review, and letting the rest of the team confirming the result is correct before answering to the customer. And what has changed, it breaks down to on less than 5 working hours, depending on the complexity of the question, of course. But also now, the time we spend it more in improving the documentation, improving our knowledge base, rather than spending time answering questions. And it's also very much creating motivation for the internal team, as well as the anecdote is 2 months ago, the general manager of APAC was telling me, you know what, we received 2 RFP at the same time. We have a small team in Australia, and we were able to answer both of these RFP, and our main competitor asked to have more time to answer to it because they were not even able to tackle that. And this is how we concretely create value with agents, by empowering the people that are doing that on an everyday basis, always looking at how could we do better, how could we do faster for an answer to a customer. And the phase we are reaching internally on AI was, we started like everyone to experiment by using ChatGPT, by using other tools, and we were really like, we need everyone and we want everyone to use AI, not just for the statistic and claiming that on the market, because we really believe that it's a tool like you are using your mail, you're using anything. The second step was really, we didn't want at all to have central team with the data scientists and engineering developing internal use cases. As we are a product company, we prefer to allocate this resource in priority for our software. So we try to find a solution on how to empower people from any kind of skills to be able to build their own agent. And with the framing that's starting to be different, how can 100% of miracle workers can build their own agent to create more value for them, solve themselves the problems, but also reinvent the workflow of their team when they realize that the time to pay an invoice is too long, or these kind of things, at least being able to do the first step. And concretely, the way we see it as, I would say, the internal stack for us is what you can see on the bottom is really all the knowledge we have, and the knowledge is in a lot of SaaS tools or repository, as well as we can search knowledge, obviously, outside of our ecosystem. And as well, we just don't want to go to a user interface type of prompt, but as you were seeing in the example of Lawrence, it can be directly integrated in Google Sheets, in Slack, or whatever. And what we wanted as a first important foundation for the company is to choose something that could be really a meta platform for any worker to use also every models. Being agnostic was something important for us, because in some use cases, I prefer to use Claude. Then after a few days after, Gemini is better. And so we wanted everyone to iterate, to test, and really to find the best model for his purpose. And the anecdote is on Monday, I was taking a coffee with François, I don't know if he's listening, but he was telling me, you know, I changed the model. Now I have a Gemini 3 because he's answering better, but also he's less nice than ChatGPT, and I really prefer this tone, because sometimes when I tell me, can you review my roadmap, he's saying, no, that's not very good. And at the top, really our conviction is we have 3 kinds of use and I would say place we can build the agent. First, the obvious things, if we are doing something like any companies in the sales process, or for coding, or for recording our calls, first, let's use the AI features in our software, or let's look for startups that are really specialized in a specific vertical, like finance. You have maybe Facet that is there today. We are not going to build something that someone is already doing and putting all his effort on. In the middle, the second one is more so this part. And the last one is saying, when you are doing the right foundation in the middle, empowering everyone, you see the use case where people are stuck. they are like, okay, even if you give me n8n to do orchestration, I'm still stuck and I see the steps that are beyond. And we have some use cases now, like creating technical connectors as a SaaS company is very critical, and we realize that this part has really a massive value in building this kind of use case. And so our approach is really try to say, empower everyone, help anyone to build agent. First, leverage what is standard on the market and you are doing like everyone, and experiment as fast as possible. And for the things that are really specific to your company, because the fact that you are doing this operation in a different way, here there are value to build something. And if we go back to the SaaS, we have this nice guy you all recognize, so Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, that said 1 year ago, SaaS is dead. Okay, that's nice. But in a way, that's true also. And at Miracle, we just do not look internally on our operation. We need to reinvent the way we are doing SaaS product with agents. And concretely, what does that mean? We started by what is creating the highest value in our product for our customer. That is the part that I'm a retailer, I have customer and I'm paying to have traffic on my website. Maybe tomorrow I'm paying to have a product that are displayed on any agentic platform like ChatGPT or Gemini. And there is still an important part in the equation is when the visitor is here, when he's looking for a product, to have one, this product available, two, this product at the best price, and three, to be able to deliver it faster. That's why it's really critical to onboard very fast any seller, any supplier. And what is I would say, a big blocker in this step is the catalog onboarding. Any brand, any seller, they have a catalog that is expressed in a way that is very different from the retailer. And so we have taken this process and we have said, okay, let's break the fact that a human is using a SaaS to do it. What if it was the human delegating this task to a set of AI, doing the job on his behalf, and then after reviewing? Doing that was really a drastic change. We were able to decrease of 95% the lead time to do it. Another example, it has helped us to go beyond with the images, leveraging information from the images to also enrich product data, validate that the product is correct, and that is a drastic change. We ask the AI to extract this information. That is something that was not out of reach of a human or taking so many hours. I accelerate a bit. And the other part is beyond just disrupting what we are doing in our software, considering we can agentify some operation for our customer, there is also another level that is it's creating also new market opportunities. And if you look at the release of ChatGPT Shopping, it's not only disrupting the search market, but it's starting to disrupt the retail market, creating a new ecosystem of channels where there will be this transaction and also ads and sponsored product. And so the third message was really, one, disrupt your operation, but empower the people that have the expertise today and know very well the product. This is where you're going to have the value. The second part is in your current product and services, look at how you could have a drastic improvement and do not seek only for 30%, seek more for the three main things maximum that can improve drastically for more than 90% and put your energy on that. And third part, look at what are the new markets that are opening and starting to experiment. And what we are building at Miracle is also we are building the fact that, hey, we can also provide the ability for any merchant to start to sell on this platform, as we have already developed all the catalog transformer capability to transform and optimize catalog. We can do that, and we can provide this competitive advantage to any merchant on the market, as well as enable orchestration of end-to-end commerce. And so to simplify and to summarize on that, there is really this three layers. The first one of AI-assisted product is a good thing because it's a good warm-up, but it will only enable you to have what? Maybe 30% of improvement. Where you have the second level, when you have drastic and huge new revenue stream, is when you power the product with this AI, as well as you can seek for a new revenue stream. And looking and at least being clear about where are you putting your investment, where are the people when they are doing stuff, is kind of important, because the impact and the risk also is very, very different. And what's coming ahead, everyone is talking about, and now the technologies nicely become mature is to have more fleets of autonomous AI agents. If I take the basic use case we are all doing every day, the change is you will arrive the Monday morning and you will have already all your mailbox that has been answered on the basic email, and some emails that are critical that needs your review, you will have to review it. And that is different. That is going to change a lot of things on the UI. Maybe the UI will be to see a monitoring of all your agents rather than looking at a UI that you will interact with as a human. We don't know, but that is really a very exciting area that is opening. And so that's how we see it tomorrow. The fact that if I summarize at the level of the company, being clear about the fact that there is AI for and by the workers that is addressing 100% of the company. And that is critical to find the right meta platform foundation, as well as you will have agent for operation that could also interact externally with your partners, with your supplier, and as well as having your product and services that are more agentified with different steps, as I was describing, and interacting directly where your customers, and your customer may change the way they behave, may change where they transact. Thank you.